Hello there and welcome to You Talking to Me. Yesterday in the European Parliament, the Poland rule of law investigation was debated with the presence of Beata Zile, the Polish Prime Minister. She stressed during her speech the EU's strong judgment and criticism towards Poland. So what we are going to discuss today with my two guests, two members of the European Parliament, is there is a political game behind this Polish case. So we are going to discuss this with Mr. Fenrando Lopez Aguilar. You're a member of the Socialists and Democrats. Hello and welcome.
Pleased to be here. Thank you.
And Mr. Robert Zile, you're a member of the European Conservatives and you're from Latvia.
Yeah, hello.
Hello and welcome. So Poland is making a lot of noise with the two new controversial laws on the Constitutional Court and the media public broadcasting. And the chair of the European Conservatives, Syed Kamal, stressed yesterday that there is a political game behind this Polish case. And he also explained that the former Polish government also tried to do the same political laws linked with the Constitutional Court, and nobody reacted during this time. So, Mr. Lopez Aguilar, do you also believe that there is a political game or political trap behind this Polish case towards the Eurosceptic new Polish government?
There is a very bad political situation all across Europe. That's for one thing. Second, the European Union is in bad shape itself, and it's precisely because not only the markets, not only the financial aspects of the crisis have made a lot of damage, but also democracy is backstepping all across Europe, and we really have to worry about that. Mm-hmm. Poland is very grounds for being concerned because they are reacting just like a country which is not a member of the European Union, claiming national sovereignty, saying you're playing double tricks, you're playing double moral. Not at all. Europe is about values and rule of law, which is binding for every member state. And that rule of law means not only that the majority is in government, but also majority respects minority through the legislative processes and in political delivery, which means that laws which are to reform the Constitutional Court in order to put obstacles in order to assert the rule of law within Poland affect not only Poland but the whole of the European Union. And we European representatives of the European citizens, including the Polish citizens, have very good reasons to be concerned about it.
Okay, Mr. Zile, so you're a member of the European Conservatives. Do you believe there is a political trap behind this Polish case?
Of course, there is a political trap. Mr. Juncker is always saying this European Commission is political commission. That's why they reacted as European Commission in political way. That's absolutely obvious from my experience here in the European Parliament, almost 12 years. I know Law and Justice as a party. I was in the same family since 2004. They had a very difficult years, not only with a case what's happened with President Kaczynski, but also how this party was split, divided, and then finally they won elections. Mm-hmm. With majority, it was Polish people who decided about that. And with this Constitutional Court, it's not so easy. Just 2 weeks before elections, former position, Civic Platform, EPP party, and from Poland, who ruled 8 years, they just changed 5 judges before the end of the term. So my experience in Latvian government was the same. I sometimes inherited from previous ministers appointment which was not for some joint stock companies which were below the public, my ministry, for example, and they just reappointed the new or the old ones and just to continue the power. And I think they reacted maybe pretty noisy and very, very quick, but they established very good, I think, the majority of the Constitutional Court judges anyway are appointed by opposition, now by opposition, previous by the majority. The same is media, it's temporary role.
Actually, yesterday, you say to the Latvia's radio, Euranet Plus member, that the new Polish government was right, but they were a bit too harsh. So do you think that the new government was right, but the only problem is the way they did it? Yeah, but this is my personal view, but I am from Latvia and I care about my country, and of course I care about Europe, but Europe is what united my country, Polish, Spanish people and so. But we have to care mainly about our own countries.
And European Parliament is not the place which can teach Polish people and how to react. In my experience, it's the third time. I was here with the Austrian government with the Haiders case many years ago. Then was the Orban under attacks, but on political level. And now it's Kaczynski party, Law and Justice, which is again under attacks here.
Okay, we will go on with a question from our Polskie radio partner, from Joachim. We listen to him.
Hello from Warsaw. What is the true reason for the EC's decision? Is it a real concern about Poland's democracy and rule of law, or is it more the Commission's fear that Poland might be another member state that would be very skeptical about some ideas proposed by the EC in the future? In other words, isn't it a showcase for other member states that the Commission will not hesitate to launch the procedure in the future?
Mr. Lopez Aguilar, is this a kind of warning to other EU member states?
It should be, but it's a very good discussion in itself, in the Polish case as it has been in the Hungarian case. I insist, democracy is not simply equal to the rule of majority. It's the rule of majority within the rule of law, within the respect for the law, within the respect for minorities, and with judicial remedies for fundamental rights which are eventually violated. And pluralism in the media is of the essence in order to ensure freedom of expression and public opinion in democratic and open society. Exactly the same goes with the Constitutional Court, which is of the essence in order to assert the rule of law and to protect the rights of the Polish, including those rights which are enshrined by the European Charter of Fundamental Rights. So when those rights are impeded or hindered by obstacles put in the way to the Constitutional Court to ensure the rule of law within Poland, those rights affect the whole of the European Union state of affairs, the whole of the European Union state of mind. So we have very good reasons to debate it and to expect the Commission to play its role as guardian of the treaties, not to put a blind eye because of political affiliation of this or other government or this or other commissioner, only to make sure that the European law is respected everywhere in Europe. Not only in those countries of recent accession, but also in countries which are veterans and are also backsliding in the quality of democracy and the quality of freedom of expression and pluralism in the media.
Thank you. And you, Mr. Zile,
yeah, with the media law,
it's,
it's temporary law. It's until the June, and then now currently Polish Parliament is discussing the new law which will regulate all the media things. It's absolutely nothing against the rule of law. The second one, if you call Polish yesterday named that when you Komorowski as a president, how much he had in electronic media's, public electronic media's time before elections, and Mr. Duda, who is now president of Poland, it's the difference is tremendous. It's in a 20-30 times more. And so, and I think we can understand that the Polish, in that case, after elections, when they won in democratic way the power, then can change the system. It cannot continue. And why? Speaking about media, about the Cologne situation. It was public media of Germany, ZDF and ARD, which were quiet on this for many days. Don't we think that it was democracy in media and public media? Not to report for German public in the first priority, European public, about what's happening in New Year's times in Cologne. And said everybody is quiet here on this issue.
Okay, Mr. You want to react?
Of course. I mean, we're talking about a government appointing directly the members of the board of the public broadcasting services, which are to be pluralistic in a democratic society. We're also talking about not only the way you appoint members of the Constitutional Court, but the way they are in capacity to exert its role to its best. And let's have it in mind, the Polish government in place has the legitimacy of the democratic vote, that's for sure. But 50% of the Polish citizens didn't go to the polls to vote. They have also their rights to be protected. And only 38% of the Polish citizens voted for the current government. What about the rest? Are they to be disregarded or disrespected? Are the rights to be ignored by the government just because it has democratic legitimacy in parliament? Democracy is more than that. So it's about the rights.
We cannot
of the
calculate all
Constitution.
those who didn't go to vote, say against the winners of the elections. In that case, we can think also very interesting about the Spanish elections.
They are citizens.
Sorry
they are Polish
you
citizens.
also
And
get
they
a
are
majority,
European citizens
conservative
as well.
majority of the, and you cannot establish
They are
so easy.
citizens all the same, and they are European citizens all the same.
But it's up to you, up to Spain, to decide about. It's not up to European Parliament teach you how to make a government after elections.
So we will go on now with...
Majority or without majority, like in Portugal.
We're not
like
arguing about the legitimacy of the government.
Okay.
We're arguing about its delivery and the way it
but
behaves.
I showed you the example in Germany, public media, how they will be
with the
influenced.
totality of the Polish citizens as European
Even
citizens.
indirectly approve the heads of public media.
Let me just conclude with a very important idea. This is not a debate about a foreign power putting an eye on Polish sovereignty. It's about European authorities which encompass Poland as a member state, as a full-fledged and fully entitled member state of the European Union, which means that the Polish citizens are not only Polish citizens, they are also European citizens, and they have a right to be protected by European authorities and by European public sphere and by European political debate too.
We go on with our Facebook comments. So Giorgio said Poland wants the EU money but not the values. We should let them the choice to be in or out the EU. After the Brexit, why not the Plexit? And Lenka replied to this comment arguing the same than Mr. Sayed Kamal, the chair of the European Conservative. Perhaps we should wait before crying. The precedent government did the same thing with the constitutional judges and nobody screamed. So then we have Robin who wrote, to what extent should one trust to Poland? What is the role of Mr. Tusk? So Mr. Zile, so Donald Tusk, the president of the European Council, who is a Polish, has been criticized not defending the EU because he is Polish. So do you believe he is
all Poles are bad, even Mr. Tusk, who was 8 years Prime Minister of Poland and who belongs to the current opposition of the current Polish government. That means all Polish Prime Ministers or Polish governments or presidents are against Europe. It's just nonsense.
Yeah.
And the gentleman who wrote you on Facebook, I think he's destroying Europe. Because if you don't have a, if you're looking on Europe to understand also member states and people interest in different states, then you're destroying Europe. You say, look, British don't want to everything to fulfill what in Europe, let's go away, let's leave Poland out of, let's leave UK. As a Latvian from small country, we went to European Union in 2003, we voted for, and we voted mainly from the geopolitical security because we are afraid again occupation of Russia. That was our history, and now we don't want to cease. And because of so-called European values, some populists would like to destroy all the key players in European Union, like UK or Poland.
A small word about that, because we have to go on, and we have only a few minutes left. So, do you think Mr. Tusk is, because a lot of members of your group criticize Mr. Tusk being too much, being not enough European protective? I mean, he's more protecting his own country as a Polish. Do you believe also this?
I am only afraid and sad that anti-European ideas are on the rise and Europhobia is on the rise, and it's particularly because of this European policy, which has been so badly played over the last few years and has inflicted so much damage upon so many middle classes, impoverishment of the working force, of the labor force, and the impoverishment of the labor rights. It's got the European policy in it, and we have to change it. And Donald Tusk has been part of that European policy. I have heard him saying that Europe, it's not the European Union, it's the member states. And European citizens do not live in Europe, they live in the member states. I do not agree with that. The very idea of the European Union is that member states become European Union, and European citizens within member states become European citizens with all of the rights that are enshrined by the Charter of the
We go on with the last question from our German partner from AMS Radio, from Claudia. We listen.
Hello, everybody. Following what Commission Vice President Franz Timmermans said last week, the Commission was obliged to start the proceeding against Poland. Obliged by the fact that the Commission is the guardian of the treaties and has to follow EU law. So why are there so many discussions about? Why talk about if it was a must, so to speak?
Mr. Zile, do you think we have much more European topics more important
but you
than
see,
the
we
Polish
look
case?
very differently on European, what does it mean, Europe, and so, but it's pluralism, it's normal. In democracy, it's very normal that we have a different views. That's why our political families are very different in European Parliament, in our states as well. What about Donald Tusk? I am coming back to a bit.
Yeah,
but just one moment, because
okay.
Why he is against Europe? Because he is not from European establishment. He didn't come from the long years here. He was a prime minister of his country, and he became a president of the Council of Europe. European Council. Sorry about this. But this is important distinction. And as I said, we cannot punish somebody like that. And with the Timmermans activities, as I told you, I remember those cases several times. In EPP, because of the EPP family, against Orban is much less pressure than in that case on Poland on this situation.
Okay, so
because of political reason.
To finalize this debate, I would like to know whether do you think the Polish government will withdraw the laws or not at the end, or step back? In any case,
I think the Polish government and the Polish Prime Minister should reflect upon the considerations that were heard yesterday in the debate. The debate is not over, and the Commission has to keep an eye on the legislative initiatives ahead. But the important thing is that every government should bear in mind that stepping back in the quality of democracy, the respect for the rights of minorities, and the remedies in order to complain not only at national level but also at the European level, at every breach of these European standards has to be considered seriously by the European authorities if the European Union is to overcome its drive to decline, which is so worrisome for so many in this particular stage.
okay. Thank you for watching us. See you next time. Bye.